Hey, Coach Candice here to talk with you today about, an issue that many people face when they start, monitoring for some changes in their health, and perhaps their weight might be something that they are wanting to monitor the progress of, which might then also involve them stepping on the scale. And I'll talk with you about some mistakes that sometimes people make and how they let it influence their nutrition choices or their nutrition overall or their exercise or whatever. But many times, people will weigh themselves and they see a number and perhaps maybe it's not the number that they desire. Now, again, we can a whole other conversation that sometimes the number you desire might not be the body that you want. So sometimes a number is not always the best goal, but again, that's a whole other topic. But for those who are monitoring that, for health or whatever reasons, I rarely use any one point in time as a means to make, perhaps a nutrition change at that time. Instead, I prefer to monitor trends. So generally, how is your weight trending over a period of 2 to 3 weeks? And if it's, because many times people are expecting their weight, progression when they begin exercise and nutrition to follow a pattern such as this, where everything is just a continuous, straight down climb. But unfortunately, that is not how it happens. So what weight loss might actually look like is this, to where you're going down, but then maybe you see a peak up, or sometimes it's even higher than where you started. But ultimately, your trend goes down. Because there's a lot of things that influence, some peaks such as this. So for example, especially for women, if it's falling around their cycle, it's going to be natural to, have an increase in weight, again, mostly due to water weight. If you eat a meal that's higher in salt, you're probably going to see a peak that next day. If you do, let's say a heavier workout, a heavier squat day, it's this natural part of your body's response to that inflammation to have a little bit of extra water. So again, so you might also see the scale go up in that instance. And again, those are just a few examples. There's many reasons why we will have fluctuations in our body weight. But again, if let's say you had that, let's say you had that heavier workout and you saw a peak such as this, I wouldn't want to make a decision based on that one point in time, because again, that's just your body's natural response, and is not necessarily, just because you see the scale fluctuate by 2 pounds does not mean that it's 2 pounds of fat. Everybody honestly jumps to that conclusion, but again, it could be just water weight. And you just got to be patient, because you can weigh yourself in the next day or two, and then now you're down to here. So we're not going to make a forever decision based on that one point in time, and we'll wait until we monitor trends. Now, again, if you're, if staying the course, if this is how you're progressing over a 2 to 3 week time period, then there's honestly not too much of a need to change anything in that time, because ultimately, you want to get away with still eating as much as you possibly can and still losing weight. You don't want to drastically drop your calories or feel like you need to increase your exercise, because some of that can honestly cause you to stall your progress, and then you're getting nowhere, which is when we see people who are exercising, doing every group class 5-6 days a week, and then they cut their calories and well, geez, how am I doing all this? And nothing is changing. And again, that's probably a whole other topic in itself that I'll address at some point too. But again, don't make those decisions based on those one point in time, and instead follow the trend. And if you're trending in that direction, there's no need to change too much of anything. And probably one other weight that I would strongly encourage people to, again, not completely ignore, but not dwell on, is get folks that will go to the doctor's office and they step on the scale and it's more than they thought. And I say, I would say, again, I'd let them use that as their data, but I don't really pay too much mind to what I weigh at the doctor's, because again, I generally weigh first thing in the morning when I first wake up, go to the bathroom when I first wake up, and then weigh myself there. And that's kind of my baseline as I go by. But many of us, we go to the doctor, it could be in the middle of the day or even the afternoon. You've probably ate your meals, you're fully clothed. That's not really the best weight. Yeah, they can use that for whatever they want for their data, but I know ultimately I'm basing it off my home scale that I use the most often, and I feel like I've been using consistently. So I'm gonna say again, ultimately, if the number's there and it does require something that you do need to address health-wise, yes, you have to acknowledge that. But But as far as measuring your progress, I by no means take into consideration my weight at the doctor, because again, it's not the same factors I use on a regular basis. So I hope that helps. So again, just to be mindful that not to stress out when you see those peaks, even if it's just higher when you start, because again, within a matter of 2 or 3 days, you can be down from that. So that, again, I emphasize with folks, be patient and trust the process, be consistent, and it will happen over time. And it is just, developing that patience through these times, because again, it's not going to happen like that. I will tell you that, so it'll help you to get it out of your mind that it's going to happen like that, because it's not. And again, anybody's welcome to reach out to me. I will always happily share my even own personal graph of my weight loss. And again, it looks very much like this, sometimes even like this, and then down like that. And I've also posted about it, so I'm not sure, again, if you want to scroll back through my social media, you can see that there. But again, I will gladly screenshot where I'm at now and share that with you, just to show that progress is not going to happen in a straight line down. And it will oftentimes be like that. And you just got to hold tight and see where we're at. But again, even myself, sometimes, if I find that maybe I've stalled, then I do make some subtle adjustments, but I only do that after about 2 to 3 weeks have gone by and maybe I'm not seeing a change. But then again, it also involves looking back, is there an opportunity for me to be more consistent with different things, or make some different choices? So ultimately, again, I hope you found that helpful. Any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.